Okay, so let's talk about a story that, well, it doesn't really do jump scares or monsters hiding in the dark. No, this story finds its terror in something much quieter. Think polite conversations, cozy sweaters, and this calm, quiet acceptance of something truly unspeakable. This is what you might call horror in a cardigan.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That idea is the absolute gut punch at the heart of Kazuo Ishiguro's novel, Never Let Me Go. You're living in a world where all your hopes, all your dreams, they're just props in a play you don't even know you're in. And your body, it's seen as little more than a parts warehouse for somebody else.
And this is where the book just absolutely masters this idea of quiet horror. It's not about what goes bump in the night. Not at all. It's about that chilling dread you feel when all the lights are on and everyone is just calmly, politely managing your life directly towards a tragedy. See, on the surface, the world of our main characters, Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy, it seems almost perfect. They grow up at a place called Hailsham, this beautiful English boarding school that just feels so cozy, so completely normal. You can practically feel that damp English air and just picture all the art projects drying on the racks. But that whole cozy setup, it's just a front, a very deliberate, very carefully constructed cover. Because the devastating secret is that these children are clones. They were created for a single, horrifying purpose: to grow up and donate their organs until, well, until they can't anymore. So how do you do that? How does an entire society make something so completely monstrous feel, well, normal? That's really the crucial question, isn't it? And this book is just a masterclass in exploring the subtle, quiet ways control really works. And one of the most brilliant strategies is the tone of the narrator herself. Kathy tells her story with such calm, such matter-of-fact nostalgia that it is just deeply unnerving. It really does feel like she's lulling you and probably herself into just accepting this reality without completely freaking out. Language itself is used as a weapon here. The entire system just sanitizes the horror using these euphemisms. So a clone doesn't die. No, they complete. And before you become a donor, you're a carer, which means you watch your friends go through the process first. It's just pure horror, but it's all dressed up in these polite, manageable words. And this perfectly illustrates the heart of that quiet horror. The big reveal? It doesn't come with a thunderclap or some huge dramatic moment. No, it's just a teacher, Miss Lucy, blurting out the truth on a completely normal day, her voice literally cracking against the wind on a playing field. The sheer ordinariness of it all, that's what makes it so brutal. So, in a world that basically denies your humanity, what do? Well, the characters, they desperately start to cling to objects and ideas as a way to prove that they matter, as a way to prove that they actually have a soul. Okay, take the cassette tape. There's this incredibly tender scene where a young Kathy is dancing to the song Never Let Me Go, and she's cradling a pillow like it's a baby. It's just this moment of pure, innocent longing. But once you know her fate, that she can never have a child, that beautiful innocence just curdles into something completely tragic. And then you have the art gallery. All the children are encouraged to create art for this thing called the gallery. And they start to believe that if their art is good enough, if it's seen as truly creative, it will somehow prove that they have souls. I mean, think about that. Their art isn't for expression. It's a desperate plea to be seen as a person. And that is the heartbreaking absurdity of their whole situation. They're forced to collect evidence of their own existence, to submit proof of their inner lives just for some kind of external validation. It's as if being human is something you have to earn. And this is the point where the book really stops being about a fictional world and starts holding up a mirror to our own. It forces us to ask some really uncomfortable questions about the gentle lies we live with every day. So let's just ask it directly. What parts of our own lives, of our society, only function because we've all kind of agreed not to look too closely, because we choose to tell the story softly? When you look at it, the parallels are pretty startling. The gallery, where you submit your best work hoping for approval, that feels an awful lot like our curated social media feeds. This constant need to prove you have a soul, that's mirrored in our endless quest to prove our worth. And the invisibility of the donors, well, that reflects all the convenient compromises our society makes at the expense of people we don't see.
At its core, the entire system in the book runs on convenience. The clones are kept invisible, out of sight and out of mind, so that the rest of the world can benefit from their existence without ever having to confront the moral horror of what's actually happening.
But the story doesn't just leave us in despair, which is important. It offers a final, quiet lesson on how to face a world built on foundations like these. It suggests a form of defiant humanity.
Near the end of the story, the characters find a beached boat sitting in a marsh. It's such a powerful, haunting symbol. Here's this vessel, something designed for movement, for a journey, and it's just stranded, decaying. It's a perfect metaphor for the clones' lives, so full of potential, but completely stuck inside a system they can't escape.
So, what's the big takeaway here? I think it comes down to a few things. First, look directly at uncomfortable truths. Call things by their real names. Strip away all those pretty euphemisms. Refuse to accept a comfort that's built on someone else being silent. And finally, create art, not to prove you have a soul, but as an act of defiance, just to remind yourself that you do. And we'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. Take a moment and really ask yourself, what parts of my world have I accepted as normal simply because the story was told to me softly, because it came in a calm and reassuring voice? What horror might I be wearing like a comfortable cardigan?